actually have something I want to like kick start off with, and we'll just see where we go from there. But I want to talk today a little bit about video games, because of course it is. If I'm not talking about D&D, I'm talking about video games. Yeah, I want to talk a little bit about just like appreciating stuff in games, I think, or like the things that you don't really notice. So I'll kick this off by like asking you guys a question. Have any of you ever watched Any Austin, which is ANY_AUSTIN? It's quite a popular YouTuber, I would say. I mean, you know, I actually don't know how many subs he has. I don't know if it's like tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands. I don't think it's millions. But one of his more popular videos has like a couple mil, which is a video about discovering where the power lines in GTA 4 go. So his videos are basically like, I mean, his videos are all about like, they're a weird brand between, or a weird mixed middle ground between like a video essay and just like, I don't even know what else, it's kind of like random shit, or like conspiracy, I guess, maybe somewhere in that line, because they are basically like video essays but about really specific random topics. So rather than like how GTA, like for example, being like how Call of Duty is military propaganda, right? That could be a proper video essay that is like politically charged, but his video will be like, for example, what's the unemployment rate in this Mario game, where he'll go around and try to research in the game and find out what the employment rate is, and he'll like roleplay as being an agent for this industry, and it's just like really weird, fascinating videos. And the very first one I ever saw, and this is probably one of the more popular ones, so I think this is the second most popular video, is where do the rivers in Skyrim come from? And this whole video is literally just wandering Skyrim, trying to find where the origin of the rivers are. And it's really fascinating, and it's fascinating for a couple of reasons. First of all, when was the last time you played Skyrim and ever thought about that, right? I mean, you might have thought about it, but when did you ever like properly investigate? Probably never, right? When I played it, I've definitely thought before, like, I wonder where this river comes from. But for me, there was always like a middle ground as well, where part of my mind was like, oh, like, I'm immersed, and therefore I believe it, you know, it comes from a source elsewhere, and like it actually runs through the game world. And another part of me was like, well, it probably like appears around the town and then just comes through the town here and then washes away. But obviously that is not the case. That is not the case. The rivers actually connect. A lot of them do connect. Granted, some of them go back to really silly origin points, but they do connect. And they do all eventually flow out, or at least most of them, if not all, eventually flow out to the ocean. And like that video, I guess, like encapsulates the idea of his channel, which is asking questions that no one asked about video games, or like the small questions, or the ones you don't really think or care about. Like, you're not asking like what the meaning of a game is. Instead, it's like, what is like the specific purpose of one thing in here, or what happens if we delve a little deeper into this one thing? Like, how much behind his videos is like appreciating, stopping for a moment in a game and appreciating the game itself. I watched another one of his videos, actually I think it might have been today, it was today or yesterday. I watched a video where he's talking about COD and how like when you in a COD game, like everything is so fast paced, right? Everything is assuming you're rushing to the next objective, but if you don't and you stop, everything just like freezes in time. It's like time has stopped, but you can wander around and investigate, and you start to pick up all these like specific details. And he does another one which is like obscure locations in video games or something like that. Can't remember what the series is called, where in different video games he will like talk about different areas. Train going by. Yeah, he'll talk about different areas in video games where it's like no one ever goes there, or when you stay and look for too long, you realise how weird it is. But it's not always about it being weird, sometimes it's just about like the aura. So for example, on one end of the spectrum, I watched one which was about one of the Halo games, where at the beginning you're in a ship, but you can get down into like a place under the cockpit, and if you stand there and look out the window, you realise that the Halo ring is like really close and it's tiny. But when you're looking out the viewfinder, obviously it looks huge in the distance, but when you start to move in the cockpit, underneath the cockpit, because of how much your perspective changes on it, you realise like it's a tiny disc just outside the window. And then conversely, there's like a few missions where he talks about how like if you kill all the enemies and just like stand around, you realise just how empty an area is, and like not how boring it is, but just like how serene it can be. And I really like those videos because for me that's something that I always feel really latched onto in video games. A lot of the time I found myself, especially in games, just taking a second. So often do we like push through a game, right? Especially fast-paced ones. We push through and we don't hold a moment. And sometimes it's nice to just pause. And there are moments I do that in the games that I play now. And I feel like I've always done this for very specific games, but I may be occasional, but never really thought about it. I would say Skyrim has always been the one, right? I think that for most people would be a game where you just stop for a second and look around you. Open world games really are like that because there's an element to it. When it's an open world game, when you're looking around and you go, I could go to there, you know, you're stood on one side of a valley in Skyrim and you look to the other side at the mountains in the distance. You see the snow-capped sort of valleys between the mountains high up, and you think, I could probably get up there. It might take me an hour or so travelling, or however long it will take, but I could get there. And there's a uniqueness, I think, in open world games to have that feeling of just vista. Because it's not just a skybox you're looking at, it's like the world. And games with large maps can be very similar to that as well. It doesn't just have to be like an open world, it can be like a hub game with a large hub. But generally I think it works best for open world games specifically because there's that notion in the back of your mind, like you're looking at the world and not just like the set dressing. So for example, in a game that might not be like that. You might look towards the mountains and go, well, I know I can't go there, it still looks nice, but it doesn't have the same effect because it doesn't really exist. And I think in your mind you kind of know it doesn't really exist. I mean, obviously it's a video game, none of these things really exist, but in the back of your mind you know that you couldn't actually journey there, and it's probably not very well textured up close. But in an open world game, that illusion is easier to or harder to break, or the illusion is easier to take hold. Or maybe it's just stronger, I don't know, however you might define it. I'd be interested to know what you guys think. If you're enjoying the video, by the way, make sure to drop a thumbs up, drop a like, let me know. So yeah, I just think that's a really kind of cool concept. And I found myself doing it. Oh, that was my, if you heard that was my headphones turning off. Yeah, I think it's something I've been trying to do a lot more of. As I've said, I feel like I've done this in other games before, but I don't know. I always just thought I was being a bit weird. Like, it's not something you would actively talk about. But I do it in Helldivers. Yes, I still play Helldivers. I find myself doing it in Helldivers where I will find myself positioned. Like, not just the... I like to do it with the nuke missions, just watching the nukes explode, but really anywhere I'll be running and then I'll just catch a glimpse and I'll just pause for a second and just take it in, because I really do think that game is really pretty. Especially if you're looking in the distance to democracy being spread through explosions on the horizon. But I really like that. Like doing that in games, and some more so than others, I guess, when it comes to just visually. But yeah, I really love doing that in Helldivers, just stopping, or like if I can see a firefight in the distance where like beyond a mountain or beyond like some hills, other team members are in a fight and there's like a big explosion, sometimes just taking a second to take it in is nice, because I think we need to do more of like appreciating the artistry of these sorts of games, because they are beautiful, they really are, they look really nice. And there's just like a handcrafted nature that goes into a lot of them, lots of detail. And like, we're so focused sometimes on the gameplay that we don't look at the artistry that's involved in creating the world that the game inhabits. So I encourage you to do the same thing that any Austin would tell you to do, which is just to take a second, pause and look around in the game and just observe. Because someone crafted that game, and this is procedurally generated, but then, you know, someone probably crafted the system, but especially games that aren't procedurally generated, taking a second to look around. When The Last of Us Part 1 came back onto PlayStation Plus. Actually, I don't know if it was ever on PlayStation Plus before that, but when it came onto PlayStation Plus, I played through that, and obviously upgraded for PS5. It just looks incredible like that. I mean, it looked incredible from the get-go, but yeah, it just looks stunning. And so many times in that game have I just been like, I'm gonna take a pause right now and I'm gonna look around. And yeah, man, so beautiful. That game is stunning. It really is stunning. I like to do the same sometimes in, or did like to do the same in Spider-Man. The Spider-Man game, I guess a lot of these like Sony. I realise I've just described 3 different Sony games, but games look better on PlayStation for me, because my computer, I mean, it can handle games okay, but like it's not nowhere near as good as what it looks like on PlayStation. So yeah, that's probably why. But I want to try and do that more so with just other games as well. It's just take a second, just look around and relax. I also really like the idea of, like, I guess for any Austin, he has the excuse of being able to make a video about it and make money off of it, rather than just being weird and doing it in his own time. But part of me wants to do that. Like, go, like, start up Skyrim and follow the rivers myself and take that journey, and, you know, especially from a game that you've already played appreciating things beyond just the gameplay. So, in Skyrim's case, I played Skyrim so many times, as I'm sure many of you have probably watching this. I mean, maybe not everyone, but I'm sure many people watching this, especially given this is a video game ramble and you've made it this far, you've probably played Skyrim at least once, probably a few times. So playing it again, you're not, like, why I wouldn't play it again for the story, right? Because it's done. But that game is just a near infinite pool of possibilities, and I'd love to do it of just like play the game where it is just going in and appreciating other things, such as following the rivers, taking a few hours or an hour or so out of my day to go on a journey in this game, to decide to purely buy the roads, no other direction, by the roads, journey from one side of the map to the other, or like go around searching for specific plants, or I don't know, just a few examples of a way of approaching the game from the perspective of not doing the gameplay that it is intended for, but appreciating the world that it is. And I don't know how you could really do that for other games that aren't open world. Skyrim is kind of unique in that instance. But yeah, I mean, I said earlier on about procedural worlds, and that maybe not being the case, but I would say at the same time, I do the same in Minecraft, and that is procedurally generated. A lot of the time, you know, I'll find myself standing somewhere and just being like, oh, I'll take that view in for a moment. Yeah, I think a lot more, especially in those kind of 3D games, just taking a moment to stop and take in the surroundings is really nice, because you never know what you'll see, and you might find yourself like picking up on something on a weird little location you've never seen before. Some of the detail in the room that you've never picked up on because the tutorial told you to speed through this area, or you're in the middle of a chase sequence and you never looked in this chamber. I think it's good advice, because it lets you appreciate a game in its entirety, not just what it sets out to do, but in other matters as well. And you can learn to like connect with the game on a level you maybe didn't think you would, or on a heightened level, as is the case with something like Skyrim, I guess. Because stuff like that is really cool, and just watching these videos of him doing it, it makes me myself think about my time doing playing the game, but also I just think about like what it would be like to just jump in and for example, one of the videos where like he'll go to a town or a city and try to figure out the employment rate of it. Whenever I go to a city, it's to like explore, maybe find some quests, maybe make some purchases. Not to really interact on that level. The only time I would say that changed is when I, many years ago, I know that the base came in, I know that you can get it on the like Creative Club and mods on PlayStation as well, but back in the day, before like all the survival stuff was added to the base game of Skyrim, I played with like a whole bunch of mods like Frostfall, Rain and Snow, all of these survival mods that meant you couldn't just like run from, and it disabled fast travel, so you couldn't just run from White Run to like Falkreath, or to all the way to Falkreath's the province, isn't it? But you can run from White Run all the way to say oh shit, what's the one that's by the College of Winterhold? Is it Winterhold? I've forgotten, but the one up in the mountain. You couldn't just do that journey because you would freeze to death. You'd also get hungry and exhausted. So along play, you would have to journey along the road. You'd be probably fighting some random encounters as per the game, but every so often, like when it was getting dark, you would bed down, make a campfire, cook food up, maybe go hunting. It was it turned it into a survival game, plus doing the quests and doing the game. It became much more of like a survival-based adventuring game, and I loved it. That was my shit. I can't lie, that was my shit back in the day. I loved doing that, because it took the base game and added a layer to it, right? And I love survival elements. I'm a sucker for them, and add them into a fantasy world. But one of the things that came out of it that I didn't expect, because for me at the time I was just like, I want to play something where I need to think about my character's life more, not just like run round, regenerate health instantly. I want to be more thoughtful about my choices in the game, and I need mechanics to help me do that. I also want to feel immersed by having to live a life in Skyrim. But the thing that I didn't expect to come with that were the moments of sitting by the campfire, where I've put up a tent. I'm on the edge of like a colder terrain, and I've built a roaring campfire, and I'm stood there, and suddenly the world has stopped, because I'm no longer passing by tree, by fence, by random encounter, speeding my way to my objective. Now I'm making camp, and the game comes to a pause, and some people would find that so boring, and that's okay. I never did. Not once did I get bored. In fact, the only reason I think I stopped was because I just crashed so much. But never once did I get bored. And every single time I would just sit there and spend a few moments just to take in the surroundings. The beautiful skybox, if I could see it. The land around. And there was something so peaceful that, I don't know, it just did something for me. Like, it scratched an itch in my brain. It made me feel like, I don't know, like, I guess those urges that people sometimes have about going out into nature and just living off the grid, going out camping, doing that, being self-sustainable. Doing this gave me that feeling when I was playing the game, and I would say that might genuinely be one of my best experiences gaming. Obviously, there are many others, but they're all like different, right? They all have unique reasons, like playing Minecraft with my friends and building our first ever server. I remember that like it was yesterday. I remember vividly what it looks like. But despite that, like, it's different. It's a different kind of experience. But I do remember this, and it sticks with me even now, and I feel like I yearn for that again. I yearn for playing Skyrim with those mods, feeling those survival elements, because I just feel like the one in the game, it doesn't hit it like hit the spot like it used to. It doesn't have all of the elements. It doesn't have all the way, like the stuff where you would put down a campfire, you would put down your tent. I mean, maybe it does actually have that. I don't really remember too much. But like all the mods to increase the passage of time, to like if you were reading, to make you increase your skills. That was good. I think it was the longer that you read a book, the higher your speech skill went up. So sometimes I'd make a campfire and do some reading, and oh my god, it was so good. I loved that time, man. That was so good. And so I think that's why I really like this guy's videos, Annie Austin, because I resonate a lot with that feeling of the idea of just like stopping and looking at the game I just have a real appreciation for the game designers and just the world itself, you know. And I recommend you, next time you're playing a game like that, to just stop and just take it in. Give yourself a second to just observe the area. So, yeah, that's my recommendation to you guys. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, make sure to drop a like, guys. Consider giving a thumbs up. Or, no, not a thumbs up, but a thumbs up as well. Consider giving a, nope. Oh my gosh, guys. Consider pressing the bell icon. That's what I'm looking for. Subscribing, of course. And checking out the videos appearing over there on that side of the screen, because YouTube thinks that you will like one or both of these. And I will see you in the next one, guys.